What's going on, everybody? Welcome into this special conversation here on On3 Sports. With me today is NFL alum Eddie Jackson, also host of Out Chefed on Food Network. Eddie, Nick Kosko with you here today. I'm glad you joined me. Just tell us a little bit about why you're here today, and of course, it's prime tailgating season right now as we are in the middle to late stages of October.
Yeah, you're right, Nick. So look, this is my favorite time of the year. We're talking football, we're talking tailgating, two things that I kind of put together to create my first cookbook, which is called Game Day Eats: How to Homegate Like a Pro. So in this case, we're talking about tailgating. And I got some tips that I like to share with people to ensure that they have just an amazing pro-style tailgate.
Absolutely. So when we talk about these tips for tailgating, I'll give you one more on that. When you best spreads. I mean, I'm a big burger guy myself. How about you?
Yeah, you know what? There's a few things that I think you have to have at a tailgate. And so the things that I tell people, I say, look, keep it casual. Don't worry about all the crazy decorations and things like that. Focus on the food and the drink. And now people automatically think about beer, bring a six-pack or things like that for tailgate. I'm like, no, let's upgrade it. Let's go with some wine, right? He's like, bring some wine. I'm like, yeah, let's bring some wine. So I've partnered up with an amazing company, Bota Box, which I absolutely love. The flavor is great. They've won so many awards because of the quality of their product. But I think it's like the perfect thing to bring to a tailgate. I mean, it has a handle on it, right? Come on, has a handle on it. And then once you open it, it stays fresh for 30 days, which I think is really important because you might not go through it in one sitting because this 3-liter box has about 4 bottles worth of wine in it. So you may not go through all of it, but just rest assured that it'll be fresh about 30 days. And so you can bring it to the next tailgate if you want. But I'm so in love with the quality of it. After I started tasting it and really diving into it, I'm like, okay, I can get behind this brand. So I absolutely love it. And it goes well with so many different things. And I utilize it in so many different things and different recipes that I have here today.
Can't go wrong if it stays fresh for 30 days. Of course, Eddie Jackson provided by Bota Box here with us on On3 Sports. So let's talk a little football here, Eddie. I mean, when you look at what we've seen so far this season, I can't believe we're already through 6 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
Biggest thing right now, one team that's still undefeated in the league right now, the Kansas City Chiefs. How is this team doing it? They threw that stat out the other day. Patrick Mahomes, more interceptions than touchdowns right now.
Yeah.
Nobody's been doing that since Peyton Manning in 2015, which ironically, the Broncos won the Super Bowl that year almost a decade ago. How do the Chiefs keep doing this?
Well, you know what? And you'll relate to this, look, once a team finds a way to win, and it's not necessarily like dependent on one person, which for the last 4 or 5 years, I think like 4 years, Mahomes is 300 yards and all these crazy stats. And like that's how they were winning. They had superstar wide receivers when Tyreek Hill was there. And now, they don't have the superstar receivers. Kelsey isn't doing as good as he's been doing in previous seasons. So now it's like the defense is coming up big certain weekends. Mahomes finds a way to just make 1 or 2 plays throughout the game that really changes the outcome of the game, right? Kelsey will come up without, not doing 7 or 8 big plays. He just has that one play that gets it done during the game. And I think once they found a way to start doing that, that's when it become really scary. Because if you think back to when the Patriots were having their time in the NFL, they didn't have any superstars and they wasn't putting up crazy stats throughout the season. But they just found a way to win week in and week out. And I think that's how the Kansas City Chiefs have kind of transformed their game a little bit because they're having not a good season, but they're still like 5-0. So they're finding creative ways to win these games. And I think they still have the ability to do it, but they haven't had to do it yet. And I think if they start putting up 300 yards passing, it's going to be really scary.
Won the Super Bowl rematch against the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. Over in the NFC, the best team arguably could be the Detroit Lions. They knocked off division rival Minnesota off the ranks of the unbeaten. But Jared Goff playing out of his mind. Dan Campbell seems to be cooking right now. Even without Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive end of things with that broken leg, the Lions are just, they continue to roll. What do you make of Detroit so far this season?
I've been talking about Detroit all day. I keep getting asked this question. I'm like, Detroit is not Detroit of old with Barry Sanders where, they was 0-10, 0-16. No, the Detroit Lions are for real. And again, Dan Campbell, he's an aggressive personality, and that's how the Detroit Lions play. They play aggressive. They're giving you hard-nosed defense, a two-headed monster in their running game, but then the offensive line is giving Jared Goff a lot of protection. They're getting that ball out of his hands quick, which you really have to do, if you want to be successful. And I really think they're hitting on all cylinders. I really like the Detroit Lions, but I also like the Baltimore Ravens, which is they're very similar. Great running game. Quarterback is dynamic, and they, getting it to the receivers really, really quickly, man. And I think those are the recipe for success in today's NFL.
It's funny you mentioned the Ravens because I'll stick in the AFC North right there because they're one of their biggest rivals, arguably one of the best rivals in the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers won last night, dominated the Jets, and I could ask you all day about what's wrong with Aaron Rodgers or the Jets, or maybe it's just typical Jets. But the Pittsburgh Steelers 5-2, and they put Russell Wilson back in at starting quarterback. What do you make of that situation? And is it the right call to stick with Russell Wilson, maybe to go back Justin Fields? What do you make of all that?
You know what? I think it was the right call. Even though the Steelers, were winning with Justin Fields, I think it was really missing out on these down the field plays. That I think, bringing in Russell Wilson was, as you saw last night, it kind of gave him the ability to do that. He had 2 major bombs down the field that really kind of changed the flow of the game and kind of really picked him up. He got booed last night, which I thought was hilarious. But if you think about it, Russell Wilson hasn't played in like a year. Nope, didn't really do any preseason games. You're going through practice, but no games. And it's going into like week 6, week 7, and this is his first time actually playing a full game. So he was a bit rusty at first, but he became comfortable and was able to knock down some deep throws down the field that really gave him that push that I think they needed.
On the flip side of that, just to stick with last night real quick, he still is one of the biggest stories in all of sports, actually. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, is this all on him? Is it now it's like the Green Bay Packers East? He got Devontae Adams back. Hassan Reddick was signed, so maybe he'll return next week as well. But what do you think is actually wrong with the Jets? Because it seems like the defense is elite one week and the offense can't get it going. They had it going last night. Then I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, that's the thing. They have, I think they have a good team, right? You think about the offensive weapons that they have. Breece Hall, you have Aaron Rodgers, you have Devontae Adams, you have Garrett Wilson. You have the players on offense, and you have, arguably one of the top defenses as far as players in the NFL as well. So now it's just about getting both the offense and the defense to kind of click at the same time in the same game, and not just have the defense good one week, then the offense is good next week. No, they need to click, cohesively during the same actual game. And if they do that, then they could be really scary, but they got to start playing together really, really fast, because we're already going into week 7, week 8 for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Eddie Jackson with me here on On3 Sports. Eddie, I appreciate your time, man. Where can everybody find your latest book, Tailgating Tips? Just remind the folks out there.
Yeah, so Home Gating Like a Pro, my cookbook you can find anywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. But Bota Box Wine is who I'm here with today, and you got to taste it. But so the wing recipes that I created for them are going to be on botabox.com/football, and you can find all of my delicious wing recipes and get more information about this delicious product and bring it to your next tailgate.
He can play football and he can cook. Host of Out Chef on Food Network, Eddie Jackson with me again on On3 Sports. Hey, thanks for your time, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.